Hi, I'm Betty. Welcome to my kitchen. Being a Scot, I love anything made with potatoes. And a snack that I tasted years and years ago was a Jewish potato knish, made with potatoes and lots of onions and salt and lots of pepper. Very tasty, but it came in a very heavy, doughy crust. And I was thinking about an appetizer and thinking that flavor was so good, but I wanted something lighter. So I decided to make them with filo dough, and they've been quite successful. So I'm about to make a big batch because these freeze really well, and it's always good to have some extra appetizers in the freezer. So here are the ingredients for a big batch. 2 pounds of potatoes, cooked and mashed, 1.5 pounds of onions, finely chopped, and cooked until soft in a 1/4 cup of oil. A cup of melted butter, which I'll use for brushing the filo dough, about a good teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, and I'm going to use a teaspoon or 2 of salt. So I'm going to add my salt and pepper initially to the onions because it's going to be easier to mix them in that way. Get all of that pepper in there because that'll mix in nicely with the oil. Oh, and I can smell that pepper. We're just going to give this a really good mix to get those onions in there with the potato. If your potatoes have been in the refrigerator, it's a good idea to warm them up just a little bit before you start. It makes it a lot easier to mix. And get this well homogenized. It's amazing how such simple ingredients can deliver such a punchy taste. Once you have it all mixed, just give it a taste for seasoning. Perfect. All right, once you've checked it for seasoning, you're going to set the bowl aside and prepare the filo dough. The brand of filo dough I use comes in 2 separate plastic wrapped packages, which keeps it nice and fresh. I'm going to unroll one. And this is going to be beautiful filo dough. You always know at the beginning if it's going to be good because if it starts flaking and the sheets start breaking, best thing to do is throw it out and get a fresh package. Now I'm going to save this plastic wrapper because what I'm going to do now is just cut these sheets into quarters. Long ways. Okay, oh, there we go. And then again the other way. Stack these up. Now I'm going to put these back in the plastic while I get my assembly line essentially set up. All right, I've got my assembly line set up here with my brush, my spoons for the filling. I've transferred a small amount of the filling to a smaller bowl because it's easier to work with, and my melted butter, which I have on my handy dandy little heating tray here. I've also got a cookie sheet lined with wax paper ready to receive the finished knishes. So here we go. We're going to remove a few of these sheets from the package and wrap the remainder securely so they don't dry out. Some people wrap it in a damp towel or whatever. I find if I'm working fairly quickly, there's no need to do that. Just keep it well wrapped in the plastic. So working with one sheet at a time. Whoops, and there we go. The first one broke. We'll just get rid of him. and hope for better luck with the second one. You just have to be a little careful. Don't worry if there's a little tear. It doesn't really affect the finished product. So we're going to brush this well with our melted butter. And put a second sheet on top. And again, brush that. I don't worry too much about getting it all the way down to the very bottom. Now, you don't want to overfill these because the potato tends to expand when it bakes. And if you overfill it, it'll just explode and make a mess. So give it a turn or two. Fold the sides in, just like so, and continue rolling. That little corner there. And there you have a neat little package. We're just going to continue doing that with the remainder of this mixture. So here's my first batch all ready to go in the freezer. There are 3 dozen here, and I think this recipe is probably going to make in the neighborhood of 8 dozen. A very handy thing to have on hand. So let me bake off a couple of these to show you what the finished product looks like. I'm going to pop these in my handy Breville oven, which I've got set at 375 on convection. And I suspect these will take about 5 to 7 minutes. Of course, if you put them in frozen, they will take a few minutes longer. So there are the finished knishes, beautifully browned, toasty, and ready to eat. Enjoy.